Hi everyone, and welcome back to another video with Mrs. Gravenese. Today we are in My Math Chapter 3, Lesson 3, and today we are doing some division, dividing with two-digit dividends. Your objective today is that students will be able to carry out division with and without remainders. So let's get to it. In our previous lesson, we learned a little bit about what division is as far as how to model it. We used base 10 blocks to model division. And today I'm going to teach you just the algorithm, the steps of long division. And our dividend, the number we're splitting up, is going to be a two-digit number to start. So for example, let's say we have the number 86 and we're dividing it by 4. All right. Now we could model that for sure. We could get 8 of these tens rods and 6 of these ones, and we could draw 4 groups, 4 bins, and we could start dividing them equally. Absolutely, we could do that. Okay. And if that's the method that you're working on right now, then that's great. But I do want everybody to become familiar with the steps of long division. So let's think of 86 divided by 4. 86 is that dividend. It's the number we're splitting up. 4 is our divisor. It's the number of groups. And then our answer is called our quotient. Now, when we do long division with just the steps, the algorithm, we draw, I don't know why I call it a house, but I draw this thing. It kind of looks like a house, maybe. And where we place the 86, the dividend, and the divisor 4 is really important. And a lot of people confuse this sometimes. So you're actually going to go in the opposite order. You're going to put our dividend 86 inside the house. Then you're going to put the divisor 4 on the outside of the house. And the quotient or answer goes on the roof. Again, our dividend, it's kind of like an X. Goes here, our divisor over here, and our quotient goes on the roof. So there are 4 steps when we divide. The very first step is to divide. Second step is to multiply. The third step is to subtract. And the fourth step is to bring down the next digit. And we just end up repeating this cycle as many times as we need to either get a whole number answer or maybe a number with a remainder. So you might be wondering why, if we're doing division, there's all of these other steps. Why are we multiplying? Why are we subtracting in long division? And if you think about when we used our base 10 blocks, it has to do with that kind of the renaming and putting them into equal groups based off of their place value. Okay, so I'm going to tie that into the long division as we do it. So first, let's look at the 4. This is the number of bins. This was the number of equal groups that we had. Okay, and remember with our base 10 blocks, if we had 86, we would have 8 of these tens rods, and we would want to try and divide them up into the 4 groups as many times as possible. So how many of these tens rods could go in each of the bins? What that's saying is this division step. What is 8 of the tens rods divided into 4 bins? How many 4s can we take into 8? And the answer is 2. We put that up in our quotient. And let's look at why that is. So here are my 8 tens rods for 86. And I want to, and these bins are super tiny, but I want to put them into each bin as many times as I can. These are my 4 bins. And you can see that I can actually put 2 in each bin, and there's none extra. There's none left over for my tens rods. So that's where this 2 came from. My second step is multiplication, and that would just be like, well, I was able to put 2 of those tens rods in each of the 4 bins, which gave me exactly all 8 that I had. So our second step is to take this 2, the number you wrote up here, and multiply it by our divisor. And we write it down here. Our next step is to subtract. Well, how many were left over? Well, if you remember that thing that I just did here with my base 10 blocks, there weren't any left over. We were able to put all 8 in the bins. So I put a 0. My next step is to bring down. We bring down the next digit. And this would be, if I were working with my base 10 blocks, and I would build 86, 6 ones would be represented here. So when I bring down my 6, it's now working with these 1s. Now, I didn't have any rods left over, so that's why there's a 0. I just have to divide up these right here, these 6 little 1s. So let's go ahead and do that. If I divide up these 6 1s, now I remember there should be 2 of the 10s rods here. I just took them off for spacing. Well, that's about it. 4 can be divided by 6 one time. Actually, 6 can be divided by 4 one time. 4 can be taken out of 6 just one time, 1 in each of those bins. And then when we multiply, what is 1 times 4? How many are in there? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. We used 4 of them. And how many are left over or remaining? That's the subtraction. 6 minus 4 equals 2. I don't have any other numbers here to bring down, okay? Because I'm writing this as a remainder, I'm not going to do the next step if it were a decimal. So I'm just going to say, okay, I have 2 remaining. So what is our final answer? Remember that we had 2 of these 10s rods, and I drew my bins so tiny because I don't have a lot of space here, but we had 2 of the 10s rods in each, okay, in each bin, and we had 1 1, so that's 21, and then we had 2 left over for a remainder of 2. That would be our quotient, 21, remainder 2. Let's do one more example. $37 divided by 3. All right, I am going to simultaneously do the long division and the model, just to show you again how they sync up. So when I rewrite this with my house, my dividend, 37, goes in the house. My divisor, 3, goes outside of the house, and my answer, or quotient, goes on the roof. And I want to draw 3 bins. Okay, and let's represent 37. Here's 30. 36. 37. Okay. All right, so step 1 is to divide, and then we multiply, and then we subtract, and then we bring down and repeat if necessary. So let's do that division. How many 3s can we take out of 3? In other words, what's 3? What's 3 divided by 3? All right, so let's see. I can do, I can do that. I can do 1 in each bin because 3 divided by 3 equals 1. So I put my 1 up top. That's part of my answer. And then when I multiply, when I had 1 3, one group of 3, or 3 1s, I guess I should say, when I have 3 of these 1s, I had 3. So I took out 3 of my 10s rods. 3 of my 10s rods are now missing. So I have 0 tens rods left for my original. But what do I still have? I still have these 7 from my original. Okay, these 7 are still here. So now we do that process of dividing again. 7 divided by 3. These 7 need to be divided into these 3 groups. 1 for you, 1 for you, 1 for you. Another 1 for you, another 1 for you, and another 1 for you. Uh-oh. Got a little sad one over here. So how many times could I take 3 out of 7? 7 divided by 3 means I can have 2 in each group. That goes in my answer. And when I did that, when I had 3 2s, a 2, a 2, and a 2, how many did I use up? 2, 4, 6. And then my subtraction happens. What's left over? Remember, I had 7, I used 6, and I'm only left with 1. And there's nothing to bring down, so that 1 becomes my remainder. So my quotient is 12, remainder 1. Here's my 12 with 1 remainder. All right, I hope you found that helpful, and stay tuned for the next video. Bye.